And we're back with another episode of AC Milan's own podcast. This one's gonna be a little bit weird, a little bit sad. We have a lot of news, of course. It is still August, so still transfer window going. A lot of busy days for a lot of Serie A teams. Milan seemingly panicking a little bit, but we'll get to it a little bit later. Welcome back, Oscar. We watched the Parma game together, actually sitting on the same couch. Unfortunately, did not bring us any luck. Let's jump straight into it. It's on the graphic. Our first loss of the season. Another game where we concede 2 goals. People wanted Pioli out. They said we have no zero midfield. We have no filter in front of the defense. We concede 2 goals every game. And don't we create enough to make up for it? Get Pioli out. But new season, new manager, same story. What did you think of the game?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty poor game from Milan. It's the same issues that we had last season, just reflected into a new manager. I'm not sure how that's even possible. Poor start of the season for us. First loss, like you said, is in game two against newly promoted Parma. It's not looking good at the moment. I'm still wanting to give Fonseca the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, all the people saying Pioli out should probably have a look in the mirror.
Do you think it is a problem of Fonseca and how he set up the team, meaning his tactics aren't paying off, or is it a problem of how the players are adjusting to the change? He had some interesting quotes talking about how in training it all looks great and fine, and then on the pitch it seems to be completely different, which seems to point at the uh, at least that he believes that his tactics aren't being implemented to begin with, or aren't being implemented to the fullest. Um, do you think it's his entire system that's similar to how Pioli wanted, or is it just a fact that of a poor transitions from the old system to the new system with the players?
Yeah, maybe I'm not sure what the transition would be. It's not that he's asking. It's not like it's a Pep Guardiola who's come in and is asking sort of the highest of the high from players to play every single week. I'm really not sure what that quote is meant to say. Is he sort of saving his own skin by saying that yeah, it's looking great in training? I'm not sure what the players are doing. He's been able to sign quite a few players, albeit apart from Pavlovic, the back four has looked the same. But is it a question of the players' mentality? Are they just not capable of understanding simple instructions? I mean, we've got Theo Hernandez, who's one of the world's best left backs, albeit not this past game. Tomori is still a very qualified centre back. I think Calabria, being Calabria, is perhaps the chink in the armor. But yeah, I'm really not sure if it's a transition. It's not that we've signed a whole new starting 11. I'm really not sure where this is going.
Yeah, it's really tough because for a few reasons, really. First of all, I don't know. I want to believe in Fonseca. I'm a little bit worried. When I look at the goals, there is a lot that leaves me wondering about the players and individual performances. We're talking about Teo, obviously bad game, and maybe he isn't fit. Maybe it's the Euro hangover, whatever it may be. But if you're not gonna run, if you can't run after your man, then you shouldn't be playing. Like I don't care if he minutes comes in, he's a fifth of the player that Teo is. But if you're not running and you're conceding goals like that, then that's just how it goes. Um, and maybe there's something to say, hey, if your players aren't in condition to run and in proper physical condition, maybe it's best to not play such high press that requires them to sprint up and down the pitch and slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's starting to get worrying. I think the Torino game was obviously bad. We were really close to a loss and only were able to walk away with 1 point. But we created a lot. We could have put that game away uh, very early on. Um, we had plenty of chances. There were some pretty bad mistakes on the goals. I feel like we played that exact same game the same way and we win it most of the time. The Parma game, I mean, the first half we could have been down to probably deservedly as well, 2 or 3-0
Yeah.
instead of 1-0. We claw back and still terrible mistakes. I mean, just terrible performance by everyone. I think Theo was the worst on the pitch for me. Um, uh, yeah, I mean,
Very
Leao,
lackluster performance from Theo.
yeah,
It's the same old story where if where Theo and Leao perhaps don't have those spaces to run into because Parma just play with a low block and counter. That seems to be sort of our kryptonite. Then they can put in such quite lackluster performances. Theo, like you said, perhaps isn't in great shape. He played a lot at the Euros, bit of a disappointing end for the French, obviously. But that Euro hangover, it's not his first major tournament.
it's true.
He still had a fair bit of time. Obviously, he should get time off before the season starts. But like you said, maybe Fonseca shouldn't be trying to play a certain sort of style if the players aren't ready for it. Um, because we've a lot of the players like Reinders, Leao, Theo Hernandez, players that are, and even Pulisic, players that are sort of top performing players, haven't been there from the start of the summer, where Fonseca has been able to perhaps lay out his groundwork for his tactics. So maybe it is on Fonseca, but I think yeah, the mentality of Theo was very lackluster, quite sort of. I shouldn't say disgusting. That's a strong word to use, but
No, but it is
yeah, they even
infuriating to watch him. Watch the goals and just look at him just jogging back after the player that in 10 seconds is about to score a goal because he's sprinting and he's gonna be left alone in the box.
yeah, that graphic of the kilometers per hour they were running. It's not that Theo's just run from the complete other side of the pitch and caught up with this guy. Like he seems like he is actually jogging, and I don't know, he's not. Maybe I'll have a closer look again on the highlights, but it's not like he's shouting, man behind you, man behind you. He's just sort of leisurely strolling almost.
Yeah, like just like it's given for granted, and then that's the worst. Everyone in defense was pretty shaky for me. Pavlovic looked alive, looked like he had a little bit of fight in him, which no one else really did. So that was really nice to see. He had a couple shaky moments, but I think overall probably the one of the best on the pitch, if even one of the best on the pitch at
Yeah,
the very least.
yeah. I
Uh,
think you could easily say he saved us from conceding a goal there when he chased
yeah,
back.
a couple times.
Yeah,
Um, I thought Calabria had a bad one. I think on the goal, he gets outpaced, so it's tough because you see him just get burnt. He's also by himself in our whole half. He has that whole side of the pitch because both our center backs were marking someone in midfield. So it's tough for me to blame Calabria because, again, how do you really blame him when, uh, what is he supposed to do? Just run faster? At some point, he shouldn't be maybe left 1-on-1 with one whole side of the pitch to cover. Um, I thought Emerson. Now we're not gonna judge a whole player by 20 minutes coming in, 20 minutes before we were down and he was pushing, but he looked rough. He looked rough. I know that his best qualities are maybe more his one-on-one defending rather than what he does with the ball necessarily. But man, he looked really tough. He just gave the ball away with no pressure to no one. Drop
I,
a real stinker, and it makes us feel silly because we gave up Kalulu to Juve. It makes me feel silly because Liverpool just bought Chiesa for 13 million euros and we spent way more to buy Emerson Royal. It makes me feel silly because we're trying to buy players but we can't sign them because we have not enough Italian and young, not enough foreigner spots left in our list. So to sign Kone, we had to get rid of Benacer when we brought in this random Brazilian. Oof, tough start for him.
yeah, it's. I think we started saying this around February, March again with sort of the whole planning. We've had quite a while where we should be able to have planned signings earlier on. We should have had a Pioli replacement way earlier on than we did.
Yeah,
I'm really not sure what management has sort of thought up. Getting Morata is also, I mean, it's a bit of a gamble. I'm not saying he's obviously played, what was it, 20, 30 minutes and he's injured. But again, that's also one of those, a strange signing if we're going to start a sort of continue on this project that perhaps Maldini started. Um, Again, we're loaning out, we've loaned out Adli. I don't know why Fonseca didn't perhaps like him, but it just seems like all a bit of a mess, and it's not really well thought through. It's like one day management wakes up and like this is our plan, and then the next day they wake up and this is another plan.
Yeah, and this is what we are talking about last week as well. I don't mind the signings individually of Fonseca, of the players. You can like him, dislike him. That's fine. For me, it's about the project, and you can get it wrong, but you can say, hey, we want to play this style of football, so we hired this manager because he plays the style of football we want to play, and we buy certain players because we believe in this, and then you win or you lose, and it works and it doesn't work. That's fine. That's how football works. But when you start just trying to piece things together and trying to build a house of cards on nothing, that's when it gets pretty dangerous. And that's what it looks like we're doing. First, firing a manager, then signing one, then the tifosi rebel, so then you walk back and you go get another one, and then you're ready to buy Zirkzee, and then you don't get Zirkzee, and then you go for Morata. And again, Morata is a good player. He got on a great deal in terms of the money. It's just more about, is there thought behind this team? Is there management, leadership, and thought? Or are we just trying to put together something random? I don't understand also sometimes the formation. Again, talking about formations in today's football maybe doesn't make sense. We see the 4-2-3-1, but obviously in possession, it's really more through the back as Theopos pushes up and
Yeah.
Loftus Cheek is by the striker. And when we don't have possession, it's really, the shapes change. But why are we playing with a cam when we can't? We all of Serie A is going to be low block teams. We never build up fast, so we're always playing facing 11 men behind the ball. And Loftus Cheek maybe touch the ball 3 times. What's the point? We can't even get a cross in. Bring him down. Get another midfielder in. We don't even have. We play with 2 CDMs, and none of the squad, none of the players that we have, except for Fana, who got a few minutes and looked good, to be fair to him, or decent. None of them are CDMs. Why can't we play with a more 4-3-3? Have an actual midfield to go through when building up, and also that acts as more of a filter coming back. If you want to fit in Leao, Pulisic, Chukwueze, which I'm all down for, then okay, let's try that. But if you're not playing those guys, then let's reshape the team a little bit. It's a little bit worrying. Um, and then I guess that leads us to the lack of plan, to the transfers. We see today has been, and yesterday and today is going to be a pretty busy day. We see Adli confirming to off on loan to Fiorentina. Milan was trying to get the uh, obligation to buy after the loan, but it's going to be just an option. We'll see how he does against Fiorentina. I'm glad he's staying in Europe. I think he could still showcase some good skill. I was hoping he was going to go to Marseille and see what he could do under De Zerbi, but nevertheless, he's gone. Benacer hasn't trained with the team for 3 days, even though he's not injured, which means we're trying to get rid of him. The idea is to get rid of him to get um, Kone in. Does that help us? I don't know. Has Benacer been playing very well lately? Not at all, but does our midfield need continuity? I think so. I think we need continuity more than we need Kone. Um,
Yeah, and I think for Benacer's case, if because obviously Cardinale is looking to make a business out of Milan. Of course, that's how most big football teams are run nowadays. It is sort of the last chance to maybe get rid of Benacer because it's been a downward slope since that injury. I understand that he might not don't have the legs in him anymore. It was quite a severe knee injury, but it seems like it's kind of the last chance to sell him for some sort of value. But again, it's not that he's showcased incredible some sort of stability. He's gone down. He's gone down very far downhill since that knee injury. Not been convincing at all. Not the same Benacer from the Scudetto season. I mean, I've been a big Benacer supporter, but I think it is time to move on from him. Perhaps if we're doing stuff like this, like putting him out on the transfer market, not letting him play for, or letting him train for 3 full days, and it's the 29th of August. Again, I think like you said, what's the planning behind this? Has Benacer been on the market the whole transfer window? Why couldn't we have thought of that earlier on and maybe gotten a few more bids, better bids? It seems like we're kind of being a headless chicken right now in the transfer market.
yeah, sometimes player free up at the last second, and you're like, okay, let's see if we can make these deals happen. But we're talking about Kone trying to get for 15, 20 million, and you have to letting go of 2 players that we're talking about them going. I mean, in Adli and Benacer forever. Why are we doing this now? Why are we bringing them in? We have we played 2 games. We're playing against Lazio in 2 days.
Yeah,
Benacer is maybe our only other CDM on the squad behind Fofana. What is happening? And the same thing goes with the Tammy Abraham signing. I mean, why are we getting rid of Salemakers and getting Tammy Abraham in, paying 10 million as well? Liverpool just signed Federico Chiesa for 13 million. Federico Chiesa is a baller. Oh, but his injury list is that, of course, but that's a risk. But that's why you're paying 13. Also, Federico Chiesa played like 33 Serie A games last year. Tammy Abrams played 8 because he was out
yeah,
all
yeah.
year.
That's an even bigger risk.
What are we doing? Why do we keep Jovic? I thought the plan with Jovic was he's on a good contract. We paid no money to get him. He's gonna be the backup striker because we know he's not great, but he's cheap. Morata's there. Maybe Camarda, maybe Okafor gets a minute there. This is it. But now we panic and we sell
Yeah,
Salemakers to get 10 million for this guy who I like. I mean, I thought Tammy Abraham before the injury. I don't know what he's like because he only played 8 games. After the injury, we'll see. But he's young. He's quick. He's big. His finishing could use some work. But I don't even like dislike him as a player. But to what? To play a second fiddle to Morata the whole time? So if Morata stays healthy the whole season, he doesn't play?
yeah.
And
Do,
then,
do you think Tammy Abraham would want that because he's sort of like a break point in his career, right? He's not really obviously with injuries, not really made it work perfectly at Roma. He's gonna come to Milan. I wouldn't say that. I would say Roma on paper at least is slightly worse squad than we do. Is he gonna come in like you said as a second striker? Are we gonna change formation all of a sudden? And have two proper number nines
yeah.
playing next to each other
And
and
now
have
they're
like
trying to get
a
rid of Jovic, but why would anyone buy
yeah.
Jovic? He played 4 minutes a game. There is no, like, even, so now we have another salary that we need to try to get rid of. Just like we haven't been able to get rid of Origi and Balotelli and all those. And it's like,
and
what are
and
we
we're
doing?
2 games into the season already.
Yeah, and we're playing Lazio in 2 days. And I thought
Yeah.
Sademakers, I thought we could have sold Sademakers earlier on and make some good money, but the whole thing was that he impressed Fonseca and he wants to play. But now, no, we need to panic. We turn around. I don't understand it. I don't. I really don't. I was hoping that I was like, hey, maybe it's just me. I'm on the outside. What do I know about running a football club? Nothing. There's a big plan. Ibra, Cardinale, the whole team. It just doesn't
Oh yeah,
appear
but
like there
what,
is.
what plan would that be? It
Yeah,
doesn't seem very like high hopes for this said plan.
yeah. It's just panic.
Although yeah, although I was messaged by a friend of mine, Newcastle fan. He was saying that that would be a great deal, the Abraham sort of swap deal with Selemakers plus the 10 million. But yeah,
I think I don't know. I look at a great deal and I see Federico Chiesa going to Liverpool. That seems like a great deal. I don't think 20 million for Emerson Royale or Sademakers plus 10 million for Tammy Abraham when you have just bought Morata in. I don't think any of that is a good deal. How do we? Yeah, I don't know. Do we ever play with two? I really don't understand it. I really don't understand it, and it's really worrying. And you see other teams. Inter's gonna do what Inter does. Juve is balling playing youth squad members because they
yeah,
actually have an actual manager, which they agreed with him, of course, officially in June, but they were talking about him coming in and having meetings with him in October last season. So he came in early. He knew exactly what the job was needed. He said, "Hey, these players I don't need. These players I want." They brought him in. I mean, it looked bad as well because people were like, "Wait, why are you getting rid of these guys and these guys and these guys and buying these guys? This is terrible." And it's worked out great. And now they've waited and got brought in the Cup Miners, the
yeah.
Coinsao, and who else did they brought in? There was a third.
Kalulu,
Kalulu, yeah. Um, and now they're gonna be ready to hit the ground running. And it just shows. I
even
mean,
Vlahovic.
they're literally playing kids, and they're playing well because at some point, the names doesn't matter. If you have an idea of football that you play and you play it well, it's gonna work. It's
Yeah, and I don't know
stressing me out.
what sort of what autonomy is Thiago Motta getting that he wouldn't have had in Milan.
Yeah,
Because obviously we were interested in him, but again, I've read, I guess maybe it was rumors that Thiago Motta wasn't going to have a say in signings, etc.
yeah. I mean, he came to
Is
Juve and
Fon- but is for I
he was
assume
pretty brutal.
Fonseca would,
He said,
yeah,
"Chiesa, you're gone." He said, "Szczesny, you're gone."
yeah,
He put some players at the door, and he looked brutal. But sometimes you have to commit if you believe in your manager. I don't know. I don't know. Is Is Fonseca
Is it
involved in any
this?
resigning? Does he is he begging for Tammy Abraham? Is he begging for Kone? Is he begging for Emerson Royal? I don't know. It
Yeah,
doesn't
is it
seem like there's.
Ibrahimovic that doesn't want, like, I guess sort of another type of ego that has sort of a power over him? Is Does he not want to give sort of give that power? I'm not sure really what Ibra's role is at the moment. He's obviously a lot in the press conferences, and it's great to have a Milan legend like him. But what's his experience really? I mean, I guess he came back as a locker room kind of guy for the last 2 seasons at least at Milan. But again, this that's also very confusing. What kind of a role does he have? Fulani, I don't even want to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's all over the place.
he's trying to replicate what we had in Maldini, which actually worked well. Someone who was at the training ground, a Milan legend, one of the best footballers on in the history of the game, which helped with signing because when Maldini calls, it's a different thing. But also, Maldini wasn't out there just for show. Maldini was at the training ground every day, and that's a different that impacts that's a different type of culture, actual football culture.
It's Paolo Maldini. Like, I love Ibrahimovic, of course, as you know, and most Rossoneri do. But it's still Maldini is still that sort of I don't know how to describe it, sort of category above an Ibrahimovic. Like
Yeah,
Maldini is one of the world's biggest legends. Ibrahimovic, God bless him, but not so much.
yeah, and it's also to me it's just also stature. You're right, but also just like being there and caring about football and talking football, not just showing up to make your little silly jokes in the press conferences. And then I think that impacts on the pitch. I think we see players. I think if you see Leao, uh, a frustrated player that goes and shushes the crowd after his assist because there is that frustration clearly. And then when we can see the second goal, which is off a bad pass off of him, you see him collapse on the ground, just and then Fofana thankfully went and pick him up. But you know, there is
That's
a
all.
lot weighing on his mind. You see, I don't know, like I just don't see Teo Hernandez walking when we won the Scudetto when Maldini was there. I think those are all just signs of culture and locker room presence.
Yeah, and it's worrying, especially because I think I'm not sure if it was Theo Hernandez himself that came out and said it, but sort of the mood after Maldini left seemed to leave a very sour taste in Theo Hernandez's mouth, and I'm sure it was leaked through someone of his management that to perhaps drive up the speed of signing a new deal. But I saw a rumor today he's looking for 8 million euros. That he's essentially not happy at Milan anymore, and maybe I can kind of understand him. A mentor like Maldini, the exact same position, maybe not the exact same playing style, but same exact position, was brought in from Real Madrid, brought him up. Maldini sort of backed Theo Hernandez, and it's easy to do when he's had the last 3 seasons that Theo Hernandez has had. But getting rid of Maldini is looking more and more stupid every single month.
Yeah, and I mean, if we as fans see the uncertainty and the lack of thought behind this, imagine what it's like in the locker room. So if I'm him and I see a project and I see continuity in the players around me, in the manager, and I see building blocks, and I'm like, yeah, of course I want to stay. If I see this and they get rid of the management and then we don't know what's happening, we don't know who Unzu, and then Maldini goes and then Ibra comes and then Ibra retires and becomes part of the management team, and players are going and manager is gone and we hire not necessarily a step up and we don't know how to play, uh, and on the market it's all going crazy. He's probably thinking, okay, well, this is not going up, so maybe my next jump is to a bigger club, which
Yeah,
you know hurts. But I mean, I can't really blame him if he's like, hey, look, right now I'm getting looked at by the likes of Madrid and Bayern and those type of teams. Milan doesn't look like it's heading in that trajectory anymore, or anytime soon at the very least. So
no, yeah, that's sort of that idea of like this new sort of rebuild, as American sports like to call it, rebuild has been made, but it's fizzling out. Like now it's in its fifth, sixth year of some type of rebuild, and we're not really seeing. Yeah, we have a Scudetto to shout for. I'm not still unsure how we won that with that squad. But that was something to build on, looked positive, and now it's just sort of being cast back into this depth of uncertainty. A lot of key figures in the team, both on the manager side, managerial side and in the squad seem to want to leave, and we're bringing new people in. And yeah, I don't blame Theo Fernandez for perhaps wanting to leave. It's the same old story again. Is
Yeah,
Fonseca sort of? I mean, Fonseca has quite a good CV, not great, but not terrible. Was that the right move? I feel like we should have gone for perhaps a caliber higher than Fonseca. If we want players like Leao, like Theo, who if a manager tells them something, he's got something to back his CV up on. You know?
yeah, but also, yeah, I mean, get him, also just give him time, get him earlier on, give him the players that are key, like Fofana, center midfield, like a striker. Um, Pavlovic came a little bit early, but only had what about one full preseason game. Like the new right back that he apparently wanted so bad early on. Now we're just trying to put the pieces together, and it's yeah, it's not working. And the rebuild, you know, like the Scudetto was a big stepping block, then the Champions League semifinal was a big stepping block. Um, but you're supposed to then each season we drop the ball. You know, the each transfer window was such a big thing for us where we're like, hey, if you get the players early on, you don't need now that you've found a basic structure of the team. You don't need to go and redo everything. You need every summer 2 3 signings early on, get rid of the dead weight each time, and then build. And every time it's been last second. Every time we get someone in way too late, and then we're scrambling. And if you scramble 1 2 3 seasons in a row, eventually you're about to crumble. So again, early on, terrible start. We'll see. We have a break coming up, which is maybe ideal, honestly.
Yeah.
I hate it in terms of being a football fan. I'm going to play in useless Nation League for so long. But for us, it couldn't come at a better time, honestly. And get some more training for also the other players. We'll see how we wrap up this transfer window. Lazio coming up, not an easy way to go into the break. They also had a bit of a shaky start. They started off with a 3-1 victory against newly promoted Venezia, where they went down early on and then came back. And then a loss to the always tricky Udinese team, with a great goal from Lorenzo Luca, who, I don't know, why are we going after Tammy Abraham? Let's go after Luca. Italian, can fill in the list, young, tall, still fairly fast. If he's going to be a backup option. But anyway, now I'm just
Yeah,
rambling.
or maybe don't loan out Colombo. Give him a chance
Yeah, yeah,
at least.
yeah.
Yeah.
All of it, none of it makes sense. Um, they lost 2-1 against Udinese, and only scored in the 95th minute. Um, they've had also a pretty bad summer in terms of, I don't know, just the signings. They didn't bring in that many players. Dia, I wonder if he starts coming from Salernitana, making the move. Noslin, the other, I think, big strikers, big signings. Um, Castellanos is now their main man up top. He seems to be doing all right. It's another year of Sarri, so you know they're gonna be pretty solid. Um, we've always done well with Pioli against Lazio, historically. Um, I have no idea what to expect from this game. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think I mean, whilst we have I think higher expectations of where Milan should finish and how they should play, I'm sure Lazio aren't happy with a 2-1 loss against Udinese, but again, they seem a bit all over the place as well with signings and obviously a player like Immobile leaving the way he did. Maybe it was time, of course, but I really don't know. It's so hard to predict. We're back into what we were talking about last season. That and that was towards the end of the season and good old Pioli. But I don't know how we're gonna line up because it seems a bit all over the place. Hopefully, some sort of continuance on luck. I think in our predictions from our last stream, we were talking about is Okafor going to start, and we were hopeful he would. Calabria against Emerson, who is going to start. I mean, it's having those two options doesn't seem it's not very confidence driving. Are we going to see Gabbia instead of Tomori because Tomori was somewhat shaky, but Pavlovic played well? Is Fonseca going to go out and take off Teo Hernandez? But I'm not sure again who are we going to put in instead of Teo Hernandez. Yeah, it's hopefully we get to see Fofana from start, but it's impossible to call. Yes, we're 2 games into the season. Neither team, I guess Lazio did have a better start because they have more points than us, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to expect whatsoever.
Yeah, I also don't really think. I mean, we can talk formation. We will. I also don't think it matters. Like, is the
Yeah, I know.
problem like
It
is the
doesn't.
problem which center back is playing? I don't know. And the problem is Theo Hernandez gonna run? Are we gonna press with any actual logical sense, or is this lonely striker gonna be there, press and no one running behind him, and there's no point? Is the striker gonna touch the ball? Like, I don't know. Did Okafor play badly or well? I don't know. He touched the
Yeah,
ball 3 times. We don't get the ball even close to him, so it's impossible to judge. So are we pressing? Are we not pressing? Are we a high line? Are we not a high line? At this point, like, it really doesn't matter if, in my mind, if Teo or Jimenez play, is are we gonna run and are we gonna actually fight or not? Um, so that being said, I mean I think we should discuss. I think Fofana looked good. I think he. I mean, obviously Fonseca will see in training, and that's what matters most. But I think he earns a start, especially if Benacer is gonna be left out, which I would guess he is because he hasn't trained for 3 days and we're trying to get rid of him. I mean, he might be literally not an AC Milan player by the time the whistle goes.
yeah,
Um, so Fofana and Reinders is the one also looked like the only one alive. So to me, he's the fixed starter. Are we gonna play with another cam? Is Loftus-Cheek gonna be there? Because I would rather end myself. I mean, it's not even his like it's not even him. Like, I feel bad. Like, it's not his problem. He's not doing anything
yeah,
particularly wrong. Like, he's not killing it, but he's being the kind of player that he is. Good, not great.
yeah,
But he doesn't touch the ball. In there's a little bit of a press, but not we're not really pressing altogether. So there's no point. They make 2 passes and they're through. What's the point
yeah,
of him? Either bring him back or put another midfielder in, or actually play with a 4-2-3-1 and put Pulisic there and say, yeah, look, we're attacking. We're gonna give up a little bit, but we're attacking. So if I see
all over the
Loftus-Cheek, I
place.
hope 4-3-3, a little bit more down and let him do box to box. If not, I mean, he's after he lost against and could keep conceding 2 goals, I don't think he's gonna go Leao, Chukwueze, Pulisic. That would take some serious balls. Um, so I'd imagine Okafor up top again. I don't know how we switch that up unless he wants Jovic. So I'd imagine Okafor, Leao plays.
Or
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean, I think there were some rumors about Leao perhaps starting up front for the previous game against Parma. Again, I don't think that's right. I think we were mentioning perhaps three in the midfield and a box to box. I mean, it seems like all our players are box to box players,
Yeah,
and we're playing with a double pivot.
yeah,
You explain me that.
makes no
We're
sense.
gonna hopefully we get to see Fofana start, um, but that would be our fifth sort of CDM that we're playing already 3 games in
Yeah,
from start. And yes, okay, Reinders was probably a fitness thing in the sense that he played quite a lot for the Netherlands, and his play style is obviously running twice as much as anyone else on the pitch. Um, but hopefully we don't see Ruben Loftus-Cheek at that number 10. And it's again, I think you just mentioned that it's not really his fault. Same with Okafor getting 3 touches. Like, he can't create things out of thin air. They play a low block. We have 4 players on the same line, that being our cam, our right wing, and our left mid and our striker. They're all just waiting for the ball. Um, yeah, it's impossible to really say, I think, how we're going to line up.
yeah. Same with Musa, who I thought played well in terms of was one of the
Yeah,
couple with Pavlovic and Reinders that seemed alive and wanted to fight. Completely out of position again. He's another box to box guy who likes to dribble, but is playing CDM, and oftentimes, like, if you play 2 CDMs that like to go forward and push the ball, and those are the only two out of 2 midfielders, and then the rest is just the 4 defenders and 2 center backs that are midfield, you're gonna get caught exactly how we got caught. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd rather have fighting Musa than a poor CDM performance by an actual CDM, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. My guess is that, yeah, I mean, the defense will probably stay the same. I don't think Emerson is starting. I would guess Calabria, Tomori, Pavlovic, Hernandez. Reinders, I think he'll give Fofana a try. I want to say Fofana Reinders. To be honest, I think the most likely thing that he will choose will still be Pulisic, Loftus, Leao behind Okafor. But yeah, again,
yeah,
I really don't think it matters. Um, we're in Rome away again, not great. I don't know.
It
How's
would have
this
been great
game?
to have a player like Brahim Diaz, who's actually scored.
Yes, yes. I mean, maybe even Charles de Catelare, or I don't know, or Azixe. I don't know. There's a lot of regrets. How do you see this game going? You think we walk away with our first victory of the season?
I'm gonna unjinx myself and say we're gonna draw. I think it's gonna
Draw.
maybe it could even be like a 0-0.
A
Genuinely,
0-0. Okay, well I think that's a pretty brave, given that we conceded 2 goals against Torino and 2 goals against Parma. Just saying that we keep a clean sheet
yeah.
is already quite a brave
No,
brave
so I'm
choice.
I'm I'm unjinxing, but I'm also jinxing. But I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be like a 0-0 or a 1-1. Gun
Yeah,
to the head. I'm gonna say 1-1 maybe. But
yeah. I mean, Lazio did concede 2 against Udinese and 1 against Venezia. Um, would be great not to concede within the first 30 seconds this time. I feel like that could really give us a leg up
yeah,
in
that
this
was
game.
a mood killer to say the least. Sitting
My
next to you on
God.
the sofa there after a
Didn't even
great
take
day
my
out in the
first sip of
sun.
beer and we were already down. It was absolutely
Yeah,
depressing.
and the banter that was flowing afterwards was not great.
It was tough. It was tough all around. Um, yeah, I don't
What
see
were
us.
your predictions?
I don't see us winning. I would say 1-1. I think it's fair. It's probably the most logical. I'll say 2-1 for us. 85th minute winner by Chukwueze off the bench. Might as well.
I like that.
I'm gonna be depressed
Go
all
big
week,
or
and all
go
weekend
home.
I might as well give myself a little bit of hope on late week when
Yeah.
whenever we film these. Um, and then yeah, hopefully in the break, Fonseca can instill apparently the thoughts that he wants to give to his team that they're just simply not doing according to him.
It would be
But
great to actually have a podcast where we are a bit positive.
mm-hmm.
I mean, and then we maybe we overkill it if we win against Venezia with a 1-0 or something in the future. But that's not really the standards that an AC Milan should be going for after these years of rebuilding.
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, the Lazio one is tough, but after the break,
Yeah.
maybe we'll record a podcast. If we start going on a major non-winning streak, like 3, 4, 5 games, we might just to end the podcast because it might be us. We keep bashing Fonseca and the defense and Hernandez. Maybe
Yeah.
it's our jinx.
Maybe
But
it's
I mean,
us.
Lazio. Then yeah, 15 days off, Venezia, and then derby. Like there's not. God, I can't lose another derby. I can't do it. I can't do it. Ah, like the Lazio game is gonna be what it is. You can walk away with a win, but also probably a draw and maybe not look great. And you go into the break and there's a little bit of confusion and maybe Fonseca's not a hot seat. And then you come out against Venezia, and if you don't win against Venezia, and then you go into the derby, like there is a timeline where Fonseca is not our manager by September 23rd. Derby September 22nd. Like
There is a timeline for it.
like
I
a
think
real.
it would be again be silly to do so,
It
and
would.
it's
It would. Unless you
people
have
are
someone
saying
lined up,
Fonseca out.
which we
Yeah, but
aren't
it's
because we
I
never
just
have.
I don't think anyone's a fan of these nation league breaks or international breaks. Obviously, sometimes they have to be done for qualifications for the Euros and World Cup and whatever else. But this is just the worst feeling. Like two games, 1 point already. Let's see how it goes against Lazio. Then we have, for my sake at least, being Swedish, one of the worst defensive call ups I've ever seen in my lifetime. It's going to be dreadful playing against Estonia and Azerbaijan, only for the derby to be looming.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're going to pick up an injury because Mignon, Theo, Leao, Reinders, Okafor
that
will
would be
all be called
classic.
up.
Yeah, yeah, or a nice red card and against Venezia. Yeah, but
Yeah, the caretaker manager for England calls up Tomori and he pulls something.
no, I would probably be a new signing. I would guess Fofana, or we end up
Oh
selling,
yeah, true.
uh, Benacer and getting Kone and he gets hurt. That would be very very Milan. But I mean,
Yeah,
look, now we're being speculative, but there is a fairly real timeline in which we sucked these 2 games. There's already question. They already asked to Ibra about Fonseca being on the hot seat, and he said, "Of course not." He also said we're not gonna sign a new striker, and that was a lie. So who knows? But you walk away. You don't have to lose against Lazio. You draw and you don't look good. You go into the break with 2 points with a pretty easy schedule. It's pretty bad. You come back against Venezia. You can even win. We're not, obviously if you lose all the games, he's gonna get fired. But you could even win, just like sneak a one goal victory against Venezia, and then go into derby and get hammered. I don't know. I think there is a chance, but obviously not what I want. I think you made your bed. Now you live in it for a little bit at least, and definitely if you don't have a big name coming in, don't do the whole fire just because you lost the derby and the fans are pissed and go blindly. But man, we're talking about, yeah, is our manager gonna be fired 2 games in? Did not think this was gonna be the start of the season
Maybe that's a bit over exaggerated, but it
for
just
sure.
generally hasn't looked good. I mean, how we played against Inter and Juve, and then let's say a Napoli, first 3 game weeks, then you can be like, okay, definitely not. Let's not take too much away from this. But it is only Torino and newly promoted Parma,
Yeah, and Parma, like
and they
it's how
it's
you
not
lose.
unlucky. It's not, yeah, exactly. It's not unlucky losses. It's not that we
No,
hit the crossbar 5 times and had two penalty shouts not given, and a silly red card by somebody. It's just been sort of outplayed, outmaneuvered, lackluster. No engine really in the players, no motivation, no Sandro Tonali.
oh, I
Um,
miss him. I miss him so much. I miss him every day.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Parma in the first half looked like prime Barcelona because we were just that terrible. They were just heel
yeah,
flicking and 1-2s, and they looked like a preseason team playing against, Serie A team playing against a Serie B team, and we were the Serie B team. Uh, it's
yeah.
tough.
3 heel flicks in a sequence of 5 passes and a counter
Yeah,
attack. That's
yeah,
all you need to know.
and all
Like
our players just
that's not supposed to happen.
watching the ball. Yeah. Anyway, here's to hoping that next time we talk, we're speaking about a triumphant victory in Rome and how, Fonseca has turned it around, and the break is only gonna solidify how
And we'll
strong we
wake up
are.
to a transfer deadline day where we sign Osimhen.
Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo.
I mean, that's just not going to happen.
No,
But
I mean
that
he's
would
good.
be,
It looks like he's gonna go for a reduced price, but we're fighting to put together the.
De Laurentiis is not going to sell him to Milan.
Yeah, yeah. We're fighting
He
to put
he's
together the 15 million for Kone. We're not gonna put together the 70 they'll
70 or
take.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I am hoping it goes to not Saudi though. I want to see him in the Prem ideally. Like I just think he's a baller. Even with all his attitude problems, I do want to see him somewhere big. I can't believe Liverpool. I mean, I've mentioned it 700 times in the podcast. I'm aware, but I can't believe Liverpool got Chiesa for that little money. Uh, it's crazy. It's crazy that
Yeah.
we paid almost double, not almost double, but close to double for Emerson Royal than we did for Federico Chiesa.
And they have a lot of wingers as well.
That's true. Yeah, that is criminal. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll talk about the Lazio game and potential new signings that will be confirmed after that, and then a little time off, and then off to Venezia. Thank you, as
Yeah.
always, for this little therapy
Thank you,
session,
Stefano.
and I'll see you later.
Sweet thing.